pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's Councilman McLeod, please say the invocation for us.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Most gracious and everlasting Father, once again we'll come and say thank you for your grace and mercy. We ask you to bless everyone here individually and collectively. We ask you to bless this council that we continue to work together on one accord for the citizens of Dillon County. All this we ask in your Son, Jesus Christ's name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. 3, approval of agenda requires a motion. And a motion needs a second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 4, approval of minutes, 7/24/19 regular meeting, 8/2/19 called, 8/28/19 regular meeting, 10/8/19 called, 10/9/19 called, 10/14/19 called, 10/17/19 called, 10/23/19 regular meeting. Requires a motion.
I make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion is a second.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 5, new business. A, Dillon County Fire Department, SOPs, Fire Coordinator Moses Hayden.
Mr. Chair, at this time I make a motion that we table this. The statute clearly says that the 5 fire chiefs that's here in the county, and that in order for this even be considered, it should go for the safety committee, and the fire chief should bring it for the safety committee. Then at that point, the safety committee should bring it for the council for us to vote on. I just been made aware of it today. I don't know what the new changes in here. I think the statute said they're supposed to provide us a copy of any changes that had been provided. This time I'd like to make a motion that we table it until we get it straight up. Mr. Barry, you the attorney, what's your input on that?
I agree with that procedure that you outlined.
Well, let me say something to that then. First of all, it was brought to the Fire Safety Committee by the chiefs. We did have a Fire Safety Committee meeting where 2 of the 3 members were present.
The law say 5.
No, 2 of the 3 members of the Fire Safety Committee were present. There are only 3 members of the Fire Safety
The
Committee.
fire chiefs, 2 people just can't have say so, and you got 5. Let everybody have
You don't understand what I just said. 2 members of council who on the Fire Safety Committee were present, and of the fire chiefs, 4 of the, let me see, we have
5.
We have Josh, someone from every fire station was present, representing every fire station.
I mean, what the statute say, Mr.
Well, what does the statute say exactly?
Well, what I would recommend, I know there's a motion, I don't know if you want to get a second before we discuss.
Not only that,
go ahead.
there are changes that were provided to council
When
in the
you
packet.
get, I don't have it.
It's in your packet.
Where is it at?
Do you have this?
This is the first time I've seen the SOG standards. This is the first time I've seen this.
They were not.
It's not in his package.
They were not in what was emailed in.
I mean, y'all need to get
It's
that
supposed to be
business
the last
straight.
3 pages.
But if I must say, Mr. Moses, I pretty much contacted your office and had them to email it to me.
Right.
And the reason being because it were not in my agenda packet when I came up and picked it up yesterday.
If the council is the government body that make policy, the fire chiefs and the coordinator the safety committee have got to bring forward. We make policy, not fire chiefs. They can give their opinion. We make policy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so so that this can be passed or not passed in a proper procedure, so that we can't later on come back and say it wasn't right, then we should do it the way that satisfies everyone. So that later on, when this comes in front of you, there won't be any discussion about the procedure itself. It'll be about the content that's what's in here. So I'm fine with that.
Well, you got a motion, you need a second.
Second.
You got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? B, operating Station 5 as a substation under Station 1.
Okay. First of all, let me be very clear. This is not an attempt to take away a fire station, as I've gotten several phone calls indicating such. This is not an attempt to take away any fire service. what we're looking at is the fact that Station 5 currently has 5 members. The requirements are that they have 10 members to remain a fire station and 4 responding members average per fire. The penalties are, number 1, loss of the 1% funds from the Firefighters Association. Number 2, a revocation of the FDID number for that station. And that station will no longer be recognized by the state of South Carolina as a fire station. Now, also, ISO, when they do their audit, they will take that rating to a 10 from a 5, which we all know what it does to everyone's insurance when they live out there. Now,
That's gonna raise their insurance.
yes.
So we're gonna take, that's your intention.
No, I said the penalties if we don't do this. If we don't do this,
Go ahead and finish what you said.
okay, if we don't do this, because we don't have the requirements for a fire station out there, we only have 5 members.
How many they have when they built the station?
You gotta have 10 members.
They don't have 5 right now.
How many did they have when it was built? I'm asking, did they have kept in that?
They had the proper amount when it was built. They had the proper amount when it was built. Currently, they only have 5 members. Okay, and with only 5 members, the penalties are, as I said, the loss of the 1% funds, the revocation of the FDID number, and the fact that it would no longer be recognized as a fire station, and that ISO for everyone in that community will go up from a 5 to a 10. Okay, now you can reference South Carolina State Code, Title 23, Chapter 9, under State Fire Marshal. It tells you everything. You can also reference ISO. This also comes from ISO Field Inspector Seth Vaughn, who doesn't mind being referenced. Now, the effect of what we're proposing is absolutely no change in coverage hours, no change in personnel, and no change in the mutual response from Fire Station 1 and other fire stations. There'd be no change in any operating procedures.
What is the change that you asked?
The change is that we temporarily recognize it as a substation under Fire Station 1 until we get the right number of members there. That's the only recommendation we're making. We're not taking away the fire station or changing any kind of hours or anything. That's all we're doing. And we're doing it for the sake of, again, preserving the ISO rating, preserving that FDID number, and maintaining that 1% money. That's why we're doing that. And, you know, for anyone who wants to just run the station and don't worry about the ISO audit, maybe it won't happen, that's not true. You know, we've received in Dillon County calls from ISO to schedule that audit. It's time for it to be audited now. And we need to go ahead and schedule that audit. But it would be nice for us to have that fire station the way it needs to be for that audit. And that's why we want to go ahead and do it now.
It requires a motion.
My concern is the folks that live out there. If we vote to put that as a substation, that means their insurance is gonna go up.
That's not what.
It's gonna stay the same.
It's gonna stay the same. Everything stays the same. Nothing's gonna change. If we don't, that's when the insurance is gonna go up. If we don't do this, the insurance is gonna go up.
All right, I just wanna make sure we're clear.
If you leave it like this, the rate's gonna go up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Councilman, it's a pleasure to be with you all, Administrator. I live out in that area. I had a fire on July the 6th, and me and Chief Mumford talked, and we had a meet and greet up here at Fire Station 5. And there was several guys I recruited so we could get this in order. And I don't know if it's been tabled or not, but I recruited some guys, some young guys, because that's what they say they need.
Yep.
So if we can get them guys in place, I think everything will be all right until we get it. Don't throw us to the curb up there, because I'm up there in the middle on 57.
Well, to her point, and I want to add to that, yes, we're actively recruiting people to come to that station. So again, this is a temporary move only to recognize it a certain way, not to change the
Table and see if we can get 5 or 6 more fire.
because we got to do the inspection. If we do that inspection, then everyone who lives out there is going to have a steep increase in their insurance. That's what's going to happen. And then, yes, we might can get it taken care of months down the road, but who wants to go through that headache of going back and forth with the insurance company? That's what we're trying to
So
avoid.
we recommend, go ahead and schedule the audit, go ahead and get that done, and if we got the people that might recruit it, we can go ahead and put them in place, and then we go ahead and put that back in place.
Right. Look, what we need to do, and this is just, I don't have a vote, this is my opinion. What we need to do is, first of all, we need to go ahead and schedule the audit. We have to do that. We cannot just stall them out of an audit. That's required by law that they have this audit. But what we also need to do is place the fire station under a designation that will pass that audit. And then, as we're recruiting members, once we get to the 10 members, then we put it back to where it was before. But we could not operate that station with only 5 members right now. We can't do
The
it.
intention is to make it, put it back as a regular.
Yes, temporary.
You got $300,000 or $400,000 tied up in it. The intention is to put it back. as a fire
Absolutely,
station.
absolutely. The intention is to put, not only that, but the intention also is to make sure that we, as we go, we want to increase and expand that service out there, because, you know, they need to have the proper service there, like everyone else. So this is not an attempt to take away service. This is an attempt to make sure that we maintain the same amount of service, and that those people out there don't lose their insurance rating. That's what this is for. This is not to take away anything.
So it's basically a benefit, which is basically saying it's a benefit until they can get it back in place. So you got a motion?
Yeah, it requires a motion.
Got a motion?
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. C, renovating the Latta Library. Tommy Steve.
Yolanda's gonna,
I just read what is on here.
yeah. He's not present.
I apologize, sir. Mr. Stevens sends his regrets. He had an unexpected emergency, and so he can't be with us this afternoon. However, our trustees from Latta are here, Ms. Vicki Graham and Ms. Gail Coleman, and I brought some, those go all the way there. And if you would, this is a packet concerning the Latta Library. This stuff should not be too new to you. However, I wanted to make sure you had this before you. This contains a copy of Dr. McMillan's will and his trust as it pertains to the Latta Library. And what we're here for this afternoon, sir, is to ask you to consider giving us your blessing to proceed with this project. As you know, Dr. McMillan died a few years ago and left Latta Library. In fact, I put the bank statement in there so you can see what monies that the Latta has been blessed with. It's more than $2.2 million to renovate the Latta Library. After much discussion and meeting with the community of Latta, and we found out at the last trustee meeting that Mr. Leggett is even willing to keep the Latta Library where it is by donating the land on the side of the library. One of the reasons we were recommending that the Latta Library build a new library was because there was no room around the Latta Library to actually expand as per the request of the will and trust. However, with the community coming together and saying that they wanted the library to remain where it was, and Mr. Leggett so generously offering to donate land so that the library could be expanded, the trustees felt that they had no choice except for to go with the wishes of the community, and voted at the last trustee meeting to expand the Latta Library by adding a reading room and so that we could meet the request of Dr. McMillan. What we're here this afternoon for is to ask the council for their permission that the trustees proceed with this project.
Could you introduce who you got with you there today?
Oh, excuse me, I was thinking I had already did that. This is Mrs. Coleman, Mrs. Gail Coleman from Latta, and Mrs. Vicki Graham, also from Latta. I'm Yolanda McCormick, and I'm I've been blessed to serve as director of the library for the past 20 years.
Are the community members or board members here?
I'm sorry?
Are they your community members or are they board members?
These are trustees. These are trustees. And they represent the Latta area, which is why they're here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Stevens, our chairman, couldn't be here this afternoon. He had an emergency and he had to go with that. And so he asked me to stand in his stead.
Ms. McCormick,
Yes, sir.
when you said Mr. Leggett was going to donate property now, is this just for the building, or is there's a home there or a building there? Or is that going to be donated and removed where you can have more parking?
I don't
Or
know
do you
exactly what the details are just yet. At the last meeting, Mr. Leggett said that this property is available. So I'm assuming that they will get together once we receive your approval, if we receive your approval, that then they will work out those details.
The house to give the property to the county library. It's paying on.
What did you say,
In
Mr.?
my opinion, I think he's planning on moving the house off the lot.
Because it is a nice house.
And probably, and just, giving the lot to the county.
That would be great.
That's wonderful to hear.
I'll make
It
a
is the
motion that we, give you approval to go ahead with it.
We got a motion, need a second.
I second it.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
5D, RDA grant, agreement with Marlboro Electric Co-op.
Mr. Chairman, 5D and 5E kind of go together, so I'll go over them together if that's okay. We'll vote on them separately. 5D is an agreement, and Clay has talked about this for a few months now, about the road by Project Craft. It's right across from, is it Caldwell Drive? Caldwell. Right across from Caldwell. And Marlboro Electric has an agreement here in which they're going to give the county $35,000 to purchase the road and a small area for the substation. If you have 5D in your packet, you'll see a map attached to the back. Well, it's actually attached to the back of 5E. That shows that road area that's kind of grayed out and a small box on the right-hand bottom by the road, which is where a lift station will be put. The $35,000 will be used for the purchase of that road and for the purchase of the land where the substation will be situated. 5E, Marlboro Development Team has an option on this land, and 5E is their assignment of the portion of their option that covers this road so that we can purchase it from, I think it's the Rogers family. And these two documents, if you approve them, I would ask that you approve them separately, but also in the approval process, go ahead and vote allowing us to go ahead and pursue, to sign all the documents necessary for the transfer, so we don't have to have a special. Now, if you want to have a special meeting, come back and do that, that's fine, but if you don't, it will not exceed the amount of this money, is my
Is it
understanding.
necessary to have a call?
I don't think it is if you approve it today, if you approve everything today, the purchase of the land with these monies, and authorize the county administrator, for instance, to sign any documents necessary.
Mr. Attorney, if I may, upon reading those documents last night, do you see anything on in the wording? I pretty much looked at some wording that says if the county didn't do this and that, they would have to
Yeah.
pay
Right.
penalties and monies and things of that sort. Do you see anything along with that wording? You know,
I don't, what that means, if they give us the money and we buy a truck with it, then we gotta give the money back. We can't use it for a purpose that's not provided for in the statute. And this, I believe, would be one that's for infrastructure, and it would fall in the statute.
thanks, sir.
We need to vote on this.
I would.
All right, so 5D requires a motion.
I'll make that motion. Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 5E, draft assignment document, Marlboro Development Team.
Make that motion.
You got anything?
Go ahead. No,
Put
go
them
ahead.
together.
I've got a motion, need a second.
Second.
Motion second, any more discussion?
And go ahead, call for it, please. I have one thing after that.
Okay. Motion is second. No more discussion. All in favor? Any opposed?
And just for clarity's sake, if there could be a motion and a vote on authorizing me and the county administrator or any other officials to proceed with the purchase of the land and sign any necessary documents.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion, need a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, 5F, South Carolina Aeronautics Commission, James Stevens.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the time this afternoon. Members, it's good to see you again. It's been quite a few years, probably 4 or 5 now since I was in front of you last time. But today I wanted to bring you up to speed on some things that have been happening with your airport and some initiatives that Dillon County has had to have, they've been put into, so some things that need to be taken care of there at the airport. So I want to walk you through a few things. The history of the Dillon County Airport, I'm not going to get into its entire history because I'm not going to keep you all night, but I did want to say that over the past probably 7 years at least since I've been in aeronautics, we've done a few things with Dillon County to maintain your airport. We did crack sealing, we did pavement rejuvenation, we did some lighting projects out there as well. And those things were done just to keep the airport open to the public. You know, you had an airport, you own an airport, and there's requirements just like a home or anything else to maintain it. So that's what we've done. The most recent history includes a letter that your administrator received from the FAA about the specific status of that airport in the federal system. There's a federal system of airports called the NIPIS, the National Plan of Integrated Airport System. It identified Dillon County Airport as part of that system. And as such, in your past, you had gotten $150,000 a year entitlement money to make improvements and to do things at your airport. And you did those things. But the FAA probably 4 years ago restructured their organization of that system and basically created classifications of airports, with the lowest classification being unclassified, meaning you had less than 10 airplanes, so that you were effectively called unclassified within the FAA system. What that meant to you financially was your $150,000 entitlement that you got from the FAA each year was no longer available to you through its normal offerings. So for you to get back to that status where you have that $150,000 a year, and this is 90% funding, so when you do a project with those dollars, the FAA will say, okay, we'll take that $150,000, you can bank it up to 4 years and have $600,000, and we'll pay out of that 90% of the total project cost. Then you would have come to the Aeronautics Commission and gotten 5% state money, and then you locally would have only had 5% out of pocket to do whatever that project was. What the letter to Tony stated was that if Dillon County could not demonstrate that they needed to stay in the federal system, that they would lose that entitlement money. You would be taken out of the federal system, and therefore you would be ineligible in the future for those federal dollars. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about a plan that I've worked with your airport manager on, I've worked with your administrator on, we've had conversations about it already. And it's a plan that obviously has some expenses. But I'll say this too, you had a state legislative member that went to bat for you this past year through the state budget process and got $180,000 for you to spend at your airport. So when we talk about this plan, we talk about your local match. Our plan is to take that $180,000 and maximize it as far as we can with that money, state money, U.S. Department of Agriculture money, and then local money as needed, as the last resort. I can't put a whole program in front of you, and you have it in your packet, because it's not my airport. It's not my call. This is your airport. It's your call. This is an idea to maximize funds, to also give you all the ability to try to grow your airport. If you get to 10 based airplanes, you'll go from an unclassified airport up to a basic airport, and that'll enable you to take advantage of that $150,000 entitlement each year, as well as the opportunity to compete for what they call discretionary dollars. And discretionary dollars can be tens of millions, if you need those dollars in the future. But that's competitive, and that's within the Southeast. So if you don't get up to basic, you can't even compete for the dollar. So 0 to 10 airplanes, that's the bridge we're trying to bridge today. Not today specifically, but over the next few years. Tony had to respond to the FAA with a reason and reasoning to keep that airport open. And so Tony wrote a letter. The Aeronautics Commission wrote a letter in support of you all to keep your airport. It's got value to you. A lot of times people look at an airport and they think, it's only the rich guys out there flying, and it's of no value to me in my community. But I'll tell you this, and it can be demonstrated across the state and across the nation, that as you have an airport, that is one avenue that people come and go from your community. As you're trying to court more harbor freights, more companies like that to come to Dillon County, much of what they'll evaluate you on is your transportation infrastructure. This is a part of it. Yes, it's not used every day, all day, for companies that are coming and going from Dillon County, but it is a part of your transportation infrastructure that helps you with your economic development initiatives. So today, the Aeronautics Commission, I want to let you know that we're behind you. We came up here with one of my commissioners maybe a month ago and had a meeting with Tony and Charles, and we mapped out a plan for those dollars which are earmarked for the airport that came from the state. And our desire is to put together a plan in front of you that doesn't cost you much out of pocket in the early years. Yes, if you want to grow your airport, it's going to cost some money. But in the early years, for you to take advantage of the 180 that's there, to maximize it with matching funds with USDA and state aeronautics, the state aviation fund dollars, and to put together a plan that you can be proud of for your airport. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with the gentleman who wrote the letter to Tony. I'm meeting with him tomorrow, and I'm just going to talk to him tomorrow about what happens today and what the desires of the county and the council are in regards to the future of the airport. He's ready to take it out of the federal system, the representative I'm meeting with tomorrow. I'm not ready to say that, and I'll say this because if we don't, and I say we because we both have vested interest in your airport. If we don't take care of your airport, it's going to cost us more money in the future because that funding source is going to be gone. That's the last thing I want to see. You're in there now. I would like to see that you do your best to stay in the federal system rather than come out of it, because once you come out of it, then it's just state and local and whatever other opportunities for funding we can get, and it really costs us both more money. If we can maximize the opportunity to get those federal dollars, that's what I'm going to ask you to consider. I'll say this too, in your past, the county has done a great job to maintain the airport. We're at a point now though where it's going to take a little bit of work to grow the airport. You have a county administrator who sees some value in it. You have an airport director who's definitely enthusiastic about it. He comes to my commission, he lets them know what the needs of Dillon County are. You have a commissioner who was born and raised in Latta, who lives now in Myrtle Beach, who represents you in Columbia on the statewide commission. And he is behind you 100%. He wanted to be here today, but he couldn't. He's in Orlando today. But you have people that want to help, want to see you succeed, want to see you develop a plan for your airport, and that's all that we're asking is that you consider the plan, consider the funding opportunities that you have. One other thing I'll say about my commission before I stop and turn it over to Charles is my commission, when they fund programs for airports, we used to fund them 60% state money, 40% local money for capital projects, 75% state money, 25% local money for maintenance. So if we're maintaining pavements or we're doing vegetation control, things like that. But in the past 6 months, my commission has made a change in that funding scheme for small airports specifically, in that if we can't get any other sources of money, we'll pay 80% from the state and just ask for 20% local. So we're trying to help keep our airports open. We've got 46 counties in South Carolina. Two counties don't have airports. That's Calhoun and Cherokee, and I don't want to see Dillon lose an airport, nor does my commission, if we can help it. So, Charles, I'll turn it over to you with the plan and the projects. And what he's probably going to ask you for is just the ability to act on the first couple of projects which again, don't cost you any money.
Yeah, let me ask you a quick question. I think I'm hearing you right. At this point, you're saying that there's no out-of-pocket cost to pursue the funding at this time.
If you take that $180,000 that you were given from Jackie Hayes, and you match that with the funds that my commission can provide and the funds that the USDA, Department of Agriculture, can provide, then yes, there will be no money out of pocket for the first few projects, but eventually you'll have some money out of pocket. But the idea is that as you grow from 0 to 10 airplanes, you also grow a base of customers that are paying for services and paying for fuel and things like that.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Charles, I want you to explain this front sheet, basically concentrate on the funding balance.
I would agree. I did, again, I wanted to thank, our Representative Hayes for that money and let the council know that, in this package that you got right here, the front page is the summary, and there's a copy of the money, and for these 5 on the back right here, this is the 5 grants. We went down looking for 4, and we got 5, and there's a $50,000 grants, and they've already been sent to Washington. All I wanted to ask today was, if you look, the main 2 things we need is the aviation tanks. We got to be able to sell gas to the public, and the terminal building. I want to give credit to Mr. George Hicks at King Street from the USDA and Nikki Toons, because she helped put all this together. I want council to approve, if they will, to move forward. And the only 2 projects I really want you to be concerned about is the first 2 on the list. That's the tanks and the terminal, because without them we can't even open. But once we get those 2 and get them going, and been all funding in place too. We got 2 parts of the funding, we just need the Aeronautics Commission. And you said that wouldn't be that long, we'll be able to work that out.
My next meeting is in December.
And we'll have that worked out. And then we can go ahead and, that way we could order the tanks, we could order the terminal building and get things moving. So that's what I'm asking council to do.
If you look at those projects, the way, when Charles came to us, my staff, about all the projects in the plan, we had to flow all the funding out. So the total project cost, then the eligible USDA dollars, the Aeronautics Commission dollars, the local dollars, and then come out. You can see on the far right-hand column, I believe, or the next to the last, you can see how that $180,000 will last, through projects. But eventually, that $180,000 is gone, and then you've got to make the decision: are we going to put any local money to the airport, or are we going to try to get another appropriation or something like that that helps you guys continue the program that you started?
So once you start spending that money, that $180,000, once it's gone, then they got to be some more money come from somewhere else.
If you guys choose to do it.
If you look, you'll see that on that first, on the aviation tanks, they don't get into anything that, the Aeronautics Commission doesn't get into anything that makes a profit. So that 90,000, their share of the USDA's is 49.5. Out of the 180 is $40,500, and it leaves us a balance of 139.5 in that special fund. And these things, the terminal building, the USDA will pay, that grant will be $44,000. Aeronautics Commission will kick 28.8 and 7,200 out of that 139,000 that's left. That leaves 132,000, and we still got money sitting there that we can use, because those are the first things that needs to be done, and the others will be sometime next year as those grants come available from the USDA. Still not costing the county anything as of right now, and you're probably looking this year, during next year, and into the next year before we need any money from the county.
And what kind of money are we talking about the county gonna have to spend when time to spend money?
It's on that sheet, and again, this is, if Charles were to have the airport open with all the services available to airplanes that come and go, both from a fueling perspective and from a business opportunity. And let me just briefly explain what that is. So you have to have a hangar to do aircraft maintenance. If you want to have somebody there that's paying rent and providing a service to your community, he's got to have a place to work in. So that's what a hangar, a box hangar is. That's on the list. Then you have
we gotta purchase that.
Eventually, if you want to grow your airport. Then further down, if you want to store planes out of the weather, you've got to consider building a hangar another way. And I'll say this too. I'll say this as well. Any type of local investment that you need, there is opportunity to do public-private partnerships. So say Charles recruits a company to come to Dillon County to do aircraft maintenance. They may be willing to put in some money to help build that hangar for a certain lease length. And that's typical within the industry. What you're seeing here is assuming there's no private partnership at all. This is just federal, state, and local dollars in this document. But if you get private partnership dollars, it reduces your local input.
I hate to interrupt you, but let me help you a little bit with your question. The question really should be this way. If we continue with this without any out-of-pocket expenses, and as I see here, there's $34,000 that will be left over, that's just kind of sitting there. Is there going to be a necessity or a requirement that we spend any local money moving further? I want to answer it that way, because what it sounds like is that if we take this money and just do everything free, then 4 years from now, we're going to have to spend some money to keep up.
Yeah, but we also got in there, there's gonna be grants too.
Just that way.
How many you gonna get them?
Right, but without anything else, if we do what we're supposed to do here, are there any requirements, anything we're going to be required to take out of pocket? From that, and that's what I'm. Okay, that's.
Next question, sir, Mr. Charles, the gentleman from the Carolina. And I think I know the answer, but I just want to kind of get your thoughts on it. Failure to pursue these fundings, we lose the funding, is that correct?
I'd have to check with the state's accounting office to see what would happen. You know, that $180,000 was appropriated to Dillon County for the airport. Failure to spend it on the airport, I don't know what they would do. I'd have to ask that question.
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't know what we could do other than spend on the airport if we accept that money, which we have.
This is an opportunity. The way that I look at it is, I've got $180,000 that was given to me to spend on the airport. I've also been given the directive from the FAA that if I don't grow the airport, it's coming out of the federal system. So to spend $180,000 that I have been given or not spend it, if I don't spend it on the airport, then I run the risk in the future of losing $150,000 a year for however long that is. And that is a big, to me, I'd rather spend the $180 that was given to me for the airport, on the airport, knowing that I am pursuing to get the rest of that $150,000 year after year after year. Obviously, that's congressional appropriated. I can't say that it's going to continue, but that's what's available to you now to get back up to that 10-based airplanes.
And I'm not asking that to say that we want to take the money and do something else with it. That was not my
Yeah, you're trying to learn your options. I get it.
Can I ask a question? For the taxpayers' sake and for my ignorance sake, I would like for someone on this council or the taxpayers in this room to explain to me why we shouldn't vote in favor of this today. Can anybody explain to me, for the sake of the future of this county, for the growth of this county and the future county, why wouldn't we vote for it?
Anybody got anything else? Yeah. It requires a motion.
I make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we
I'll
accept the grant.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. 5G, overhaul IT network, Danny Hope.
So, last meeting we talked about the IT network and the condition that it was in, and so Mr. Holder has come equipped with quotes as far as for a new IT system. We just need to make sure if we're going to consider it. We need to make sure we consider the best option for us. So he has 2 different quotes. He's going to briefly explain what he's done with his research.
Yes, I was asked from the last council meeting to obtain quotes about a replacement for the server/network system before it dies. I have gotten it from 2 companies that are state contract companies. They're well-respected companies in South Carolina. The prices are as follows from both companies. From Encore Technology Group, the total purchase price for this system, a Dell system, would be $332,428. Or the lease price to own over a 60-month period would be $6,142. From Bridge Tech Solutions.
That's per month.
Per month, yes, sir, I'm sorry. Bridge Tech Solutions.
Yeah, we can do it with payments. We don't have to do it right out.
Correct. For Bridge Tech Solutions, the total purchase price would be $301,340. Or the lease to own over a 60-month period would be $5,471. Of course, they were the lesser. The arrival of the equipment would begin 2 weeks after the signing of a lease agreement. And of course, after generating a purchase order for the first month's payment, which that payment would probably not be, the invoice would not probably be received until sometime like the end of January. The installation of the system would not, after I've received all of the set equipment, we would wait and probably do this in the evening and weekend, so we would not disturb, of course, anything going on the system. This new system was designed to last at least 10 years. It would not be obsolete. Our current existing system was not designed to last 10 years. Normally, when you purchase the system, you normally go with the idea you're going to run it 5, maybe 6 years. This system is, of course, it's nearly at the 10-year mark. And it's beginning to fail. The duration and the occurrences of these failures are happening, and they're increasing weekly. Of course, just this past Monday, I had an outage. Luckily, I was able to keep the servers up and going, trying to repair the system, but it took me most of the day just trying to do it.
Where was the outage?
Well, I mean, the outage, of course, was at my server system.
But which department was affected?
It would have affected every department. If I would have not been there to bring the system back up and keep things going, it would have affected the whole county. Not just the courthouse, but it would have affected the whole county.
Mr. Holder, all
Yes,
these buildings, let's say this building, the treasurer's office, the sheriff's office, all of them feed into your,
Yes, sir.
that's what,
Yes, right.
What'd you say our 2 payment options were?
2 payment options.
6,000 and what,
I'm sorry?
one of them was 6,000 what?
The lease to own price was $6,142, or the other one was $5,471.
They're both 60 months, right?
Yes, sir. Over a 60-month period, it would be lease to own.
Which is
We have owned it.
Is there much difference between either one of them?
One was a Dell system, one was an HP system. And the reason I did it with 2 separate companies, that way we could look at the idea of their structure of their labor as well as the equipment, getting 2 separate ones. But they're both essentially, you could call them apple-to-apple comparison all the way to hardware. If we don't do anything, you're looking at the idea, you could put down the treasurer's office. They would not be able to receive tax relief. You would put down the finance office. They wouldn't be able to pay the employees.
So either one of these are fine with you?
Yes, sir. Both of these are very respected companies. I've dealt with both of these companies. The state recommends these companies to other counties. They're very respected.
We got one.
How long would that installation take?
It would take probably about 6 weeks to get the equipment in. And then working with the contractor, it would probably take at least a week to get things prepared. And then in the evening, we would shut the system down, the old system, put the new system in, and then bring it up.
So you're looking first year after all this?
Oh, yes, sir.
So it won't affect anything once the process started, it won't affect anything that's going on?
No, sir. It would be in the evenings. I would not affect the county during the daytime. It would
Ain't
be
no
all
doubt
in
you got
the
to have
evenings.
it. It's a must.
Well, it's a must if we want to continue and be able to continue operations for the county. The sheriff's office would be shut
Let
down.
me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Holder, I'm on your team. I'm on the county team, and I want you to know that.
Thank you, sir.
The only question that I have,
Mhm.
both of these lower bids or lower proposals, they are leased to own, right?
Yes, sir. Lease to own.
Here's my question, and you probably couldn't answer this, or you may or may not. I think I heard you say something to the effect that after 10 years, that neither one of these programs would be obsolete. How could they guarantee that technology will change and, I don't understand that part.
What I worked out with Dell and HP with these two vendors is I said, I want to make sure that this equipment would be, after 10 years, I would still be able to purchase hardware, purchase software, that it would not be deemed end of life. Because this system was not deemed that way at first, because we were not looking at trying to, to exist for 10 years.
This current system wasn't that?
Correct, yes, sir. So, but this system is, I looked at long range, I said, okay, we need to have something that we don't have to keep doing this, that we will be able to continue to buy parts. And if we keep it under, say, a warranty, which part of this is, for 5 years, we're able to keep this system going easily.
They pretty much guarantee you that.
Yes, sir.
We got two prices, we got 161.42 and 154.71.
Which prices with which company, Dell and?
The Bridgetech, excuse me, the Bridgetech was the HP system, which was the least owned, was $5,471. The Dell system was with Encore, which was $6,142.
Which system do you recommend we purchase?
I would go with the lesser system, the lesser price system, because like I said, it is an HP system. It is a very good system. HP is on state of the art. They are a very recommended company.
Got a motion for the HP system.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
5H, South Carolina Local Government Investment Pool.
Okay, this is Rick Dillon, through the treasurer, just letting the excess funds, mostly referring back to the CTC funds that we're managing now. I guess just the average balance would be around 800,000 in there. We currently, I think, getting like 0.02%, but the South Carolina pool is getting like 2.1%, and that's what the CTC has been accustomed to receiving. And Jamie's wanting to get this so she can invest in the South Carolina investment pool. That's primarily CTC funds money, but I guess this would give her the right to do some county money as well.
Requires a motion.
I'll make a motion to give the treasurer permission to do this.
Second. A motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 5I, recreation equipment.
Okay, we have one from the Dillon Herald, and the Dillon Herald and East Dillon Baptist Church are going to have seeking donations for the annual toy and food drive. Any amount would be appreciated. All toys benefit Dillon County residents, and all money raised is spent in Dillon County. Buzzy is wanting to give $100 to any of y'all want to give anything to this. 50. $100.
Fred, do you ever get that, excuse me, do you ever get that letter from the church for your?
Yes, all the company has the letter.
If you get that letter for that request and give it to Jamie Sue, we'll get you that. What you asked for your church. But you got to get her the letter and get it turned into her.
Okay, all the council has one, and, but I
You get
get
a letter from the church. Like she the one got
What
to
church
get
is it? Which
Saving Grace.
Yeah, I got one right here from the Archie gave me.
Is it on the list for today?
Yes, come here. Okay, Jack, did you want to do these? Okay. The next one is, from the Clyde Revitalization Commission, and they're, gonna have their, it's on December the 14th, week from 10 to 9, and they're asking for donations to help with this also. It's Christmas and Latta, and Buzzy's going to give 100. Anybody want to give to that? You good?
50.
Ms. Hargrove, you got nothing from your church? You got nothing from your church this year?
Jamie,
Not this year, from last year.
Okay, one from, that Archie gave me from, the Saving Grace Temple of Deliverance, is that the same one?
That's right.
Okay. This was Bishop Eugene Campbell. He is the pastor, and they are planning a community cookout to thank the Schaefer Foundation for the playground equipment and the hard work they have done in our community. So we're asking for a donation for that. Archie's getting $50.
Give 3 of them.
For a turn? What if you don't have a?
Give one of the guys, I'll be broke. Get it all out.
And I have one more from St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church. This is one in Dillon, is Reverend Sylvester Surratt. Okay,
they have a
let's see.
usher program, doorkeeper program, they want $50.
Yeah, doing doorkeeper. I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God. And that, the preacher of this occasion will be Reverend Eddie Davis, pastor of Community of Grace Baptist Church in Evansville, South Carolina. We invite the ushers and congregation to come and help us celebrate. The ushers give $50. Anybody else want to give this?
Like 9%.
G. Anybody else? That's all we have right now.
Require the motion.
I make that motion.
Second. Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 7, finance report.
This is as of November 15th. My general fund had $2,568,089. Accounts payables coming out of that of $892,197, which leaves us a net balance in the general operating fund of $1,675,892.
Mr. Getty, the firemen got their checks and the Christmas bonus that's gone out of this year?
No, they have not.
I'm gonna talk about the Christmas bonuses.
Then your tax money started coming in, usually in December started coming.
Yeah, well, we usually get a lot in October, which that helps us a lot. And then we'll get a little bit in November, and then probably January when we see some.
Is they gonna be with, like the administrator said, he gonna talk about our ass here.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. 8, ordinance, A, first reading, an ordinance by Dillon County Council to amend the text of the RS3 district special exemption. Oh, okay.
Very common.
Mr. Chairman and council members, the Dillon County Planning Commission met on November 4th, and we've had a number of requests over the years, but we're having concerning the RS3 district as far as mobile home parks are concerned. And we've had a number of people come in and want to make an investment in mobile home parks, but when they saw our ordinance, they just turned around and left. And it's quite restrictive. And we have had one of our local companies come in and inquire, and they want to know if there's any way we can make any kind of changes to allow them to find a way to get some affordable housing to some of our residents. It seems that there's a real need for that, and they're willing to make a huge investment. Now, I have with me here Blake Gardner, if he wants to make a remark or correct me if I'm wrong. But Planning Commission, we met with 3 people from there, Mr. Joy as well, and Ronnie Gardner, and he's wanting to open a mobile home park. The first one he wants to go, as far as a new development, is over on the other side of the ladder, but all new homes, and possibly a brick underpinning under each of them. And there were some things that they felt that was a little, became a little issue with them as far as the amount of money they have to spend, because they're trying to develop it and do a good job at it. So you should have this stuff in your packet, I'm assuming. Some of the things they wanted to change was, if you look at the original reading of the ordinance there, in an area there called open space. Open space, what they're saying is you want to have 2,500 square feet, and it doesn't designate as to what the purpose of that 2,500 square feet really is. And if it's got anything to do with recreation or having a little birthday party for kids or whatever that is, since this ordinance was written, most of us know, if got any children or grandchildren, know that birthday parties to go to Chuck E. Cheese and all this kind of places anymore for kids. And it would have allowed them to give just a little more yard space to each one of the homes in that particular acre. And so they felt like that the open space thing should be something that the developer would like to be in control of instead of an ordinance being in control of. And the Planning Commission agreed with that. And on access roads, they would like to remove the word paved because there's so many different ways. They still want to follow the regulations, but there's other ways, using asphalt, recycled asphalt, gravel, crush and run, tar and chip, or another acceptable alternative as they come around. And some of these are more affordable, but they'll have to maintain it. And park screening kind of put an issue with him because he wants to be proud of what he's doing. He's got a brand new home park, and he's looking at maybe others, but this one in particular he's already working on, trying to get it started. And he wants people to see that we can have a mobile home park that don't look like some of the disasters that we already have, and still be able to provide that affordable housing for our residents. And on the site plan section of it, we just want to delete a few things that, should you decide to change the reading of the ordinance, it'll take care of these same things, the recreation areas and open spaces and screening. So this is the changes that they want to make, and if there's any questions you want, I'll be glad to get Blake up here and he can answer maybe more fully than I could. But the Planning Commission did ask that you consider making these changes to the ordinance.
When was the last audit? When was the last
2007.
2007?
Wasn't there something in there about next to the line, it had to be so many trees?
Yeah, that was a screening, yes, sir.
And you eliminating that too?
Yes, that they asked us to do that, yes.
But this developing area for these mobile homes still would be considered as a subdivision, right?
It's a mobile home park.
Mobile home park. When they personally own, they consider as a subdivision. Would this still be considered as a subdivision? Because the reason I'm asking that question is because in certain things that a subdivision cannot get, you can't. I understand they're gonna be
If they make them a subdivision, you won't be able to maintain them as far as paving the road and stuff.
That part I get, but I'm saying, I know
The county's not gonna maintain the roads.
That's what he's trying to do.
They won't be considered as a.
Oh, no, it's a mobile home park, period.
These will be on county water, and will this be on Loudoun City Sewer, or do you know?
This particular one, I don't know if, I don't know whether they're going to see through it. Blake, can you answer that?
That depends. on the area. This particular one, we've talked to Jared Taylor and Hannah Engineering that the most appropriate thing with that particular location would be to tie into Latta City Water and Sewer, given the proximity to city water and sewer over there. But again, just in the future, depending on what we might have to do, we may have to look at modified septics, trico water. But I mean, we would explore whatever the best options are. But this particular one, we would most likely tie into Latta City Water and Sewer.
How many homes you looking at putting out there?
That particular one, 49.
How many?
49.
Is one last, is tricycle available for that area?
It is. It's at the property that we're referring to in this particular instance for this development. I mean, this is for, we'd like to do more developments than this, but this will be the first initial one. It's right past the city limit sign right there in Latta. It's off Henry Street. So, Trico is available out there, but because of its proximity to the Latta City water and sewer lines, we've been recommended that we probably tie into those.
Oh, that'd be fine, just so, I'm just concerned about septic tanks with 49 mobile homes.
Yeah, it would.
City water of any, or any kind of potable water coming from the system.
Yeah, it would be ideal to do sewer, but yeah, a modified septic system of that is definitely above my skill set pay grade to understand or explain in this platform.
So y'all doing this independently, sir? There's no tax revenue from anybody that's helping you do this?
Yeah, we're funding this ourselves.
Larry, let me ask you a question. This would be, we're talking about district what? What district you in?
District 4.
4. So if you get what you're asking for, it'll cover the whole county, every
Correct.
district?
Correct.
Okay.
I'd like to put one in Lake Houston.
I don't think there's a little small one down there, a little trailer park.
All right, that's it. I'll make a motion to pass the first reading on it.
Second.
A motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
8, administrative report.
Just a couple of issues. First, I want to mention the gravel projects that we're doing. We have started acquiring the gravel from the gravel pit in Rome, South Carolina. And we've started, the first road we did was Bel Air Road. And we're currently working on Corey's Court. And then we'll be doing McCutcheon Plantation Road and Deer Den. The decision to do these roads, I want to make it very clear, the decision on which roads to do and when to do them is not made by this council. This is not a political thing. This is made by the CTC, the County Transportation Committee. And the criteria, first of all, we're looking at roads that have paving petitions that have been denied. Those roads have been denied being paved. Second, roads that have a significant amount of residents. And then next, roads that we have the most work orders from. That's very objective, and it's something that we're trying to keep the politics out of this. We just want to do the roads that we deem are much more necessary. And so we understand that there are a lot of people who want their roads to be paved. There are people that want their roads to be graveled. They want their roads to be scraped. We're doing the best that we can with this gravel. And the reason we're getting the roads that we plow the most is because it frees up our plowers. If we take a road that we from the CTC, the current cost with Bel Air Road, it was $960 because it was 6 loads, right, Steve? 6 loads, and they were $160 a piece per load because they were $8 a ton, 20 tons. So that ended up being $960 for that project. Corey's Court is going to end up being about $8,400. Deer Den is going to be about the same. And McCutcheon, we haven't assessed that yet, how much that's going to be.
Where's Corey Court at?
That's in Bunker Hill. And I do want to add, we're going to get roads in everyone's district. So You know, everybody's gonna get gravel in their districts in some of their roads. I don't know how many roads you have in your district that are in that list. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how many, but whatever but again, we're going by a criteria that has nothing to do with what part of the county it's in or whose district it is. It's based strictly on, how bad we need it, the number of residents, how bad it gets, and how much we need to plow that road. And we're trying to free up our plowers so that we can get other places. And that's how we're determining that. It's not call into the office and get your road on the list. It's not writing a letter and getting your road on the list. That's not how it's done. And that's not going to speed up the process any for your road. It's based on what the CTC and the criteria that the CTC has set out. Okay, so any questions about the gravel? Christmas bonuses. They will be available Friday.
Yes. Mr. Clark.
Yes, sir.
Could you provide us a copy of the CTC guidelines and regulations at some point?
I will. I definitely will. I've been informed by Mr. Gaddy here that we will definitely get our checks, we'll definitely get the bonus checks for the employees Friday, Monday at the very latest. So it'll be before Thanksgiving. So those, our employees who are looking for that, they'll be able to get that very soon. We won't delay that like, it has been done. On that, we're looking at a little bit, you asked a question to him about the taxes, and when we get taxes coming in. I think somebody asked that question. The tax notices, we did have a problem last year where they went out a little bit late because of a glitch. Well, I work with Jamie Estes, and she worked very hard to make sure they went out on time this year, and they did. And so, we're all grateful for that because we start getting that money in. But those notices did go in.
I'm grateful if you got to pay it. Got a bunch of them.
Well, some people like to get their notices and pay it right then to get it out of the way, and we're grateful for that in the county. But they did go out in time so that we're able to get that funding. But you're right. The next thing I want to mention about a question I've gotten from some of you guys about the mechanic position that we're advertising for. We're still looking for a certified diesel mechanic. We have posted the application in the Dillon Herald, the Florence Morning News, the State Paper, and the Robertson County newspaper. So we're actively looking, and we're looking for somebody certified diesel. So just give you a heads up on that. The last thing I want to talk about very quickly is something I've also gotten questions from the public about the GO bond. Currently, nothing has been spent out of that bond money, and it is sitting in a restricted account, not in the general fund. That was something that we all discussed, that we wanted that in a restricted account, and that's where it is. But we do currently have some commitments. $25,000 attorney fee is one for the process of acquiring that fund. The $269,520 for a new front end loader for the landfill that council approved. Also, $39,640 for the coroner's vehicle that was approved by council as well on October 23rd. And also $157,939 of reimbursements to the county for capital purchases that we made prior to receiving the funds.
But what was that money used for? $157,000.
$35,031 truck for the maintenance department, Tony Caller's truck. $27,359 one of the sheriff's cars. $71,305 the trailer for the landfill. All these were approved by council. And $12,070 for the repair of a transmission. And that's.
But I thought you told us that $1 million GO bond will be for the equipment.
That's correct.
For the landfill.
It's not all going to the landfill.
It's not all for.
No. And this is, and I'm gonna get to the next part. Those current commitments add up to $492,099. Now, if you remember from that budget workshop back in April, we discussed some future consideration for that money. And some of the things we discussed was a scale for the landfill. We need that badly. We need that very badly. That's $91,000. Transfer station the liquid part. In that transfer station, they have liquid that comes off of that.
But
trash.
your word is that money gonna be used for the
It's going to
purchase
be
of
used for
equipment?
purchase of equipment and assets for this county and for all the different departments in this county.
For equipment?
Yes, yes. Dump truck for roads and bridges, we discussed that at about 150,000. Backhoe trailer for roads and bridges, about 24,000. The lawnmower is 9,900. Brush truck for Fire Station 3, 36,500. Thermal cameras for Fire Station 4 and 5, total 2,800. Laundry extractors for Fire Stations 1 through 4, 12,000. Cascade system for all fire stations, 38,000. And then turnout gear. Now a lot of this fire equipment, we have to get that stuff to be compliant. 30,000. That's a total of 401,000. So if you look at what we've already committed, and then some of our future considerations, and again, those future considerations still have to be, put in front of council. We're not just going to go get them. It has to come before you. As of 893,282, which again, you can spend it or not. And the remaining amount is about 106,000, which again, that can go toward.
So that $1 million about already spent?
No, see, that's not what I said.
I said up 800 something.
No, what I said was future considerations, mean things that we discussed in that budget meeting, budget workshop, saying that these are some things that we want to look at buying. They still have to come in front of you to approve. The only thing that we've spent is the 492. The other things
that other stuff, that what I'm saying, that basically be
as needed. Those are things that we looked at, that we talked about.
Right.
But the point is that money is going to where it was intended, to equipment for the county. It's not going into the general fund. It's not going to spend on other things. That money for the GO bond is going to go exactly where it was intended to go. And that's really the point.
That's my question.
Clown, let me ask you a question, and I believe my memory serves me right. I do remember that in the past conversation and maybe a workshop, that we had a list of things that were going to be purchased with the GO bond. But I do not remember buying a sheriff's car with the GO bond, or even talking about buying a sheriff's car. And certainly talking about the coroner, getting a coroner's vehicle out of the GO bond. Now, I understand you had said,
okay, well,
let me finish.
Well,
you had said here, because there may have been like a couple of years ago, you said we're going to spend this money on what we said we're going to spend it on. Because of something that happened maybe some years ago. But now, it's looking like we're traveling down that same road.
No, now let me answer your question. First of all, what we talked about only added up to about $600,000. There are other stuff being added onto there that again, you guys have to approve.
My point is, it should have been, and I know that we didn't know that the sheriff was probably going to need a car and that the coroner was going to need one, but when you, in terms of GO bond, don't you have to name the stuff you're going to purchase when you apply for the GO bond? Isn't that
Richard?
Yeah, we do, but
you have to name every single item you buy.
Well, you do list it all, but the way the GO bond is written, that you have to buy, all the money has to be spent on equipment.
I was talking about a sheriff's car, the coroner's vehicle could not have been on there because the coroner's vehicle just told us this not too long ago, so that could not have been.
Okay, so
but we do have discretion.
Okay, so let me explain this in a different way. Maybe you can understand this.
I understand.
Well, let me explain this way. What we discussed that needs to be purchased by a GO bond only added up to about $600,000, which leaves money in the GO bond that at a later date this council can approve. Also put purchase with a GO bond as long as it is equipment for the county. That's what has happened. We designated certain things that we knew we were going to buy with a GO bond later on, and we left room. I mean, we didn't want to spend a whole $1 million of the GO bond sitting in a workshop because we don't know what's going to happen in the county, as what happened with the coroner's vehicle. We don't know. So what we did was we left some room, and when we had that room, now later on we say, okay, well, since we have a certain amount of money left over, we can purchase some of these things with that GO bond.
But imagine
it's still equipment for the county.
It's just ask this question for Mr. Clyde.
Yes.
It's still GO bond money, right?
It's still Geo bond.
That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Did the sheriff run out of money out of his budget, is why we purchased his 4 cars? I'm asking the question. Cause he got his own budget.
He does have his budget, but every year, and I'm not exactly sure how many years this goes back, but we have purchased cars for the sheriff department.
And we agreed to give him 4 cars this time?
We did last year, right?
Yeah, we would do.
We did last year and the year before, I think. When we
voted on getting the sheriff 4 cars out of this Geo bond? That's what I'm asking.
No, we didn't vote on giving 4 cars to Geo bond. We voted on giving him 4 cars.
Yes, voted on $100,000 for capital and purchases for the sheriff. That's what he buys his cars out of.
But what, based on how much them cars cost in pieces?
What, 28,000?
26,000.
So you talking about buying the sheriff 4 cars, that's $100,000?
Yes, that's what, yeah.
Well, why we gotta buy him 4 cars
I
out
think
this
we
month?
voted on buying.
No, we didn't vote on that. But that's what he's saying, we agreed to buy the sheriff cars. How did we agree to buy
No,
the sheriff cars?
what I said, Councilman Campbell, is that, we agreed to spend a certain amount of money in Geo bond only on equipment for the county and not put it in the general fund. We didn't agree on exactly what the purchase was at, except for a few of the items we said had to go in the application. And part of that was the trash truck.
Well, Scott asked you about the vehicles of the sheriff car that you mentioned.
Right. I only mentioned 1. I didn't mention 4 now.
But didn't we agree on $600,000 of it, right?
Right, we agreed on $600,000 of it.
So the other 400 or so, we got to come together and agree on what we're spending on.
Right. That's
So you're
correct.
saying we agreed to buy the sheriff a car for Geo bond?
What I said is that we agreed to spend the $600,000 or so. It's not an exact figure. From the Geo bond, we agreed with that was going to go in, and that left a lot of money, $380,000 left that we were later going to have as a backup for other things that we need. And that's what I said.
I kind of feel like Archie,
Yes.
and that when we passed the Geo bond, when we voted on the Geo bond, the equipment had to be listed what we were getting
Exactly right.
and the price of it.
Right.
And I didn't know if you had something that it could spin anywhere, and I don't know.
Well,
That might be legal, and that's Allen Berry, I don't know.
You got to outline what you gonna spend that money for, I'm trying.
Yeah, I'll look at it and give you,
You got
I'll call
spend that money
Brandon
for.
Norris is our bond councilman. I'll call him tomorrow too and double check him.
You do have discretion of what you purchase with it.
You say you got discretion?
Yeah. Oh, you gotta have to buy, majority of what you put on there. Yeah, it's got all be capital expenditures.
Right. So you saying you got some leeway as to what you wanna buy with it? You don't have the specifics to say what you gonna purchase with it?
No, not going by the Geo bond itself.
I mean, cause I ain't arguing what you're saying, I'm just saying you got leeway. If you do, that's fine. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
do. I mean,
Okay.
the way it's written, you have to buy a certain amount of the equipment that's listed, but you don't have to purchase it, but you list it. And that, if you don't do that, then that frees up other capital expenditures you need to make.
I know we passed the Geo bond a year or so ago, and no equipment at all was bought.
Yeah.
Right, but again,
That's
we're buying
different
all
Geo
equipment.
bond.
What you say, huh?
Yeah, you right, bub.
Right, right, and I'm aware of what happened then, but this time we are buying all equipment with that Geo bond. We're not putting it, none of it's going in the general fund to spend on other things. It's going straight to equipment for the county. Period. Period.
The
That's what
4
it's for.
cars that are in question with the sheriff's department, have they been purchased yet?
1 has been purchased.
Well, if there's some kind of disagreement on the council between you and the financial man and the county council, why wouldn't we just, before you purchase 3 more sheriff?
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't the finance commission have a discussion with that?
Oh.
Does that sound
No,
too bad?
that's perfectly fine. But if you notice what I listed, I didn't list any of the other 3 sheriff cars. I didn't list them in our future consideration because they weren't discussed. And I'm not going to list them because of other reasons that we've already talked about.
Oh, okay.
That we're
My only concern is the sheriff got what, $13 million budget?
no, the sheriff doesn't have
What I'm saying, he got a lot more money to buy his cars than we should be using this money for to buy him cars. That's all I'm saying. He got his own budget to buy his own vehicle. While we buying him a vehicle out of
The budget- the-
the GO bond.
The consideration for the sheriff cars, that we're looking at getting, again, looking at getting, is something that has been done for quite some time. Now, if you want to change that, you're part of council, you can change that. But that's been going on for years.
Why the corner ain't got his vehicle yet? Cause we done approved that, eh?
Yeah, we've approved it.
Why haven't we got it?
Then you order,
PO has been issued on it,
yeah,
that's all.
we've already issued that.
But why
It's
hasn't
a
we got it?
problem with him and the dealership's got a problem going on right now.
That's not, I mean, we
It's
We
nothing
issued
to do with
money for
us,
them.
it's him, something, the dealership's having a problem with something,
So it don't have nothing to do with council.
nothing to do with the county.
Yes, sir.
Quick question about Cascade Systems. Why are we buying Cascade Systems for the whole county? Because they're not, we had a system for Scott Air Packs countywide, and they're not that old. Why are we replacing the Cascade Systems countywide? Mr. Hayward, I need to direct that.
I do not know, but I know we just had the maintenance done on all three of them yesterday. And one of them had some problem at one, but they had to do some work on it, but I haven't gotten a report back. I don't know why we buying.
Well, we went through a lot of grief in the last 15 years trying to standardize these Cascade
I'll
Systems.
find out why we were buying one.
But we all settled pretty well, I think, and I'm not absolutely sure, but I've been told that Scott Systems were pretty common, and they may have some difference somewhere, but that's all I wanted to ask is why
Okay.
we buy
Yeah, and again, that's something that, in that workshop we talked about. Again, that's not something that we said, we're going to buy those Cascade system, that Cascade system. That's something that was discussed. And I just wanted to give you just an estimate of how much it would cost. That's about $38,000. But other things we discussed, not we said we're going to purchase, the things that we discussed purchasing before, it's about $401,000.
Man, I know you're not Donnie, but don't we have some kind of issue with the dealership or something?
Dealer transfer, they're having to bring it, from the way I understand it from talking with Donnie, that if they got it, they'd have to wait several months. So the dealer come out here and say, we got one we can give, we just had to transfer it from another place, and they just haven't got it transferred.
Ain't got nothing to do with the county.
No, sir.
But it's in the making.
Yes, sir.
We've already issued that.
Yes, sir.
We've already paid that.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions about the bond?
No, not me.
You got anything else?
That's it?
All right, appreciate it. All right, 9 appointments.
Don't have one.
A, Planning Commission, District 1, James County.
Nobody this time.
All right, 10, executive session, opioid litigation, and legal advice.
Make a motion, we go to executive session, don't move.
Yeah, we're back, anybody out there?
That's everybody.
All right, we're now back in session, no action was taken. This requires a motion on this opioid litigation.
I make a motion, we opt out of it.
Opt out of it and do the resolution.
I second it.
All right, we got a motion and a second to opt out of it and do the resolution. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That's it? Adjourn. Need a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Don't move it or don't move. I'll second. All right. All in favor? Any opposed?